So to understand the work we do, I'd like to outline the problems that we address. All of you are aware that in India, many education surveys have shown that there is a huge learning crisis in early grades, especially when children are not able to learn foundational skills. For example, for language, to be able to read and write with comprehension and write independently, also to be able to do basic mathematical operations. The new education policy 2020 has highlighted this, and in fact has said that if foundational literacy and numeracy cannot be achieved, then the rest of school education will really not be useful. That's the problem that we have been addressing from the beginning. We were founded in 2015. We work with state governments because the problem is huge, and we believe that change has to come about at scale, and therefore it has to be a solution that can be implemented at scale. We are working with these 7 state governments with the aim of improving foundational learning of 3 crore children, which is about 50% of the children who are at risk of not learning basic foundational skills. Our work, as I said, is transformative in nature. We believe that the teaching and learning process in the classrooms has to be transformed, without which learning cannot improve. And we do three kinds of work, and these are the 3 pillars here. The first is to build capacity of the entire education ecosystem in a state, so that change can come from within. You create champions of change, those who understand what good early literacy teaching and learning is, and they can advocate for it. The second one in the middle is where we do, along with the state government, demonstration programs where change can be seen at the school level. Tangible transformation, where teaching and learning seems to be so different now. And then, of course, work with the state government to try and scale it up. The scaling up is done by state governments. We try and demonstrate change. And the third, as you see on the right-hand side, is about reforms within the system, because we believe that change has to be sustainable. And unless some basic aspects of the education governance changes, none of this will sustain. That's the model that we follow. I'll give you a glimpse of the change that we try and bring about, the transformative change that we bring about in classrooms. On the left-hand side, you'll find a classroom which is where this kind of work hasn't happened, and there's rote memorization, repeating after the teacher, copying work. Children are generally passive. That's on the left-hand side, and then we'll see a transformed classroom.
भारताच्या पूर्वेकडील देशात गेले. स्वतंत्र होणारच. हा धडा आपण वाचून काढलेला आहे, आणि वाचताना तुमच्या लक्षात थोडाफार तो.
So this is characterized by a lot of passive children remaining passive. On the right-hand side, if you see, children are much more active. They are participating in the classroom activities, all children. And what can't be seen, but there's a lot of support for struggling learners, so that we believe in equity and all children learning. Just a view of what the change looks like. We work in 7 states, as I mentioned, spread across the northern and eastern part of the country. As I said, the first pillar is continuous professional development. We implement a variety of blended and online courses, and about 190,000 teachers have completed our courses and are influencing the learning of children in their own classrooms. The completion rate has been very good, 85%. And there have been evaluations to show that classroom practice changes towards the, the kind of classroom I showed you. The second one is, as I mentioned, demonstration programs. We do it just to show what change looks like. It can happen in 1 or 2, 3 years, and the state can then take it up. And there's been evaluation of this also to show improved learning. And in system reform, because we believe in sustainability of this work, we work with state governments on things like the pre-service curriculum, textbooks, improving the monitoring by school, block and cluster resource persons. That's our model and the impact that we've achieved in the last 6 years. Very quickly, on the COVID-19, we, as everyone else said, we have actually reoriented our strategies very significantly, including the fact that all our training programs and courses are now online for all teachers. But I will mention here one part of it, which we call the Har Ghar School program, which is for 85,000 children in 4 states. Most of them, 75 to 80%, do not have access to mobile devices, smartphones. So our effort has been to deliver and have children have workbooks and reading books, which are very clearly marked out for accelerated learning and remediation. Volunteers who conduct Mohalla classes, their training, supported by teachers who then make phone calls to parents, who also meet parents. And also there's a follow-up through with parents through SMS and meetings. The first from this was initiated in August 2020, and until March 2021, there has been significant increase in children's learning through an assessment that we did. And of course, there's been a gap in this period, but we intend to start this again from late July across these 4 states. Just wanted to share with you very quickly some of what people are saying. This is from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. A team had visited Haryana, and they were really surprised to see the fluency with which kids are reading in grade 2. Some of them were reading newspapers as well. And let me show you a brief testimony.
पहले मैं परंपरागत विधि से ही कक्षा अध्यापन का कार्य करते थे, तो ये यांत्रिक प्रक्रिया थी जिसमें बच्चे बोर हो जाते थे। परंतु इस कोर्स के करने से ये फायदा हुआ, हमें पता चला कि कक्षा में अगर बैलेंस पद्धति से पढ़ाया जाए तो बच्चे बहुत जल्दी सीखते हैं।
Normally what happens in teacher education is that we lump all the teachers together and everybody tends to get the same kind of training programs. This course is tailor-made and is bound to help people who want to make a mark in this area of early language and literacy.
मेरा सोचने का तरीका ही बदल गया। इवन मैं अपने बच्चे के बारे में भी सोचती हूँ तो ये देखती हूँ कि अगर बच्चे के हिंदी सिखानी है तो वो उसके स्किल्स कैसे डेवलप करने हैं। अगर इसी तरह से सही ढंग से LLF जो तरीका बता रहा है उस तरीके से किए जाएं तो बच्चे को कोई दूसरी भाषा सीखने में भी दिक्कत नहीं आती।
I think LLF plays a very central role in school education in India. It's the only org that I know of that is so methodical and detail and depth oriented in its teacher skill building, system building capacity.
These are some of our partners, strategic and financial partners, and the government partners on this side. Thank you very much.
Really heartening to see your approach, sir. Thank you for all that you're doing. I was just thinking that there are so many different approaches to education, and in different contexts, different things thrive. But this is, like you say, the base of how mind works. How can this become eventually open access? Say how it would become easy for anyone who's trying to work with education to be able to pick it up and to be able to utilize this as a thinking base. And that is how maybe we can spread this from the 3 or 4 states that you're working into many states without you necessarily being able to go everywhere. I have not looked at your sources of funding or what your scale is, but I would think that no one is alone capable to do that. So my question is, how does more of this become open access? And is it possible also?
Thank you. Within the state, of course, all our materials, all our training programs are open access, and the state governments do take it across to the entire state, and this has happened in 4 states. Otherwise, we are, of course, openly sharing materials with the Ministry of Education, with other NGOs, and also a lot of our training programs are now on Diksha, which is being promoted by the Government of India. So we have our programs on multilingual education, a 5-week course, a 10-hour course for educational administrators. So a lot of the capacity building programs that we have are now on open access platforms. They need to be organized a little more. We all know that Diksha, there needs to be a little more categorization and so that anyone who tries to access this, but we do believe that all our the methodology, and the methodology is not unique. It's just a question of how do you work to ensure that every child, our focus, our cornerstone is equity. Every child must learn foundational abilities, otherwise they just can't go forward. So what do you do with struggling learners? We don't call it remediation. We say, how do you take everyone along? And
it's
each
inclusiveness.
class, inclusiveness, exactly. Inclusiveness of learning. That's what we focus on. So we do try our best to try this, to put this on platforms which everyone can access.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.